Welcome to the Fit Dad Club podcast. My name is Travis Jones. We're here for another episode to help you become the best dad you can be with your health and fitness so you can feel like you're a role model for your kids, the best partner you can for your wife and, be that stoic dad leading the way, forging ahead and being that pillar for your family. And I'm here as always with Jason Barrett. How you doing today, Jace?
Doing incredibly well. I'm recovering from a 12K run that I did, 5:32 pace, did it in 1:07:13 or whatever it was. So first race under the belt, and now I'm just, now my knee was angry at me, so I'm recovering from that. No issues with the knee the entire time of training, and then the day after, apparently it decided to rear its head. But no, I'm feeling good, just getting back into some strength training while I wait for that to recover, and then, then we'll see. Half marathon is the next milestone distance. We'll see if I have the balls for it.
Mate, that is exciting. Congratulations on your run.
Thank you.
I think it's a good one. It's a good time from where you were to where you are. I think it's fantastic progression. Hopefully,
1 month of training.
Yeah, mate, it is with 1 month. I hope all you guys out there on the last 4 months of 2025 have some solid goals over the next sort of 16 to 18 weeks. Summer bodies, if you don't want to be the rashy dad, they're built right now. That's how we lose the next sort of 15 kilos before beach weather and, you hiding yourself or not even wanting to play with your kids. Like you don't do the work in November, you do the work in, September. And that's how you can lose the next sort of 15 kilos before summer hits, guys. So, take action now, stop procrastinating and, put your foot on the gas and really get some goals. So today I wanted to talk about, I want this to be like the Lighthouse episode. And for us, the lighthouse on the shit that actually works and guiding you towards that instead of, I don't know what's the opposite of a lighthouse, but just fucking stay away from it. So the quick fixes. We want to stop doing quick fix diets, 6-week challenges, intense gym phases, because they don't work. Nothing fast is ever going to, stay forever. So we need to and we can get good results, but we don't need to lose 10 kilos in 6 weeks, right? We want to lose like 6 kilos in 6 weeks, maybe 5. And then in 12 weeks, we lose another 5, and instead of being back at the start, right? You do the quick fix and you can't handle it, you break yourself, and all of a sudden you end up back in 12 weeks time, back to where you started. And we don't want to do that, guys. So I think if you're feeling stuck, maybe exhausted, you're just rowing hard, but you're going nowhere, okay? I think that's the thing, right? You're just stuck, not moving forward, or your hamster on the wheel, just running on the spot. I think changing your life without a system is like being lost at sea, right, in the middle of a storm. And you can paddle harder, but you actually don't know which direction that you should go. So you could burn yourself out and just drift in circles. And I think for us, the truth is, it's not about effort, it's about guidance. So many of our guys start feeling like they're eating more and training less, but they start getting results. And they start feeling like winners again. And it's all because we create a system in place for them that makes it feel like it's achievable and sustainable. And I think that that's the biggest thing. When things are unsustainable, it does put us in this sort of rowing in circles and we end up going nowhere. We're spinning our wheels. And that is frustrating because people get stuck on that for 10 years. Imagine if you wake up every morning not looking like what you see in the mirror. You're trying to put in the hard work for 1 month on, 1 month off, and you still get nowhere, and it's been literally 10 years still not liking what you see in the mirror. When reality is, if you give yourself 6 months and you start winning and you start creating a process that's sustainable, within 6 months you can completely change your life and the trajectory of your life, and that's the truth about it. So I think the biggest thing is what I want to look at today, Jace, is some of the lies that I want us to continue to go over that the fitness industry has. And, they'll tell you to train harder and they'll tell you to train longer. They'll tell you to do marathon workouts and you think you have to do cardio on top of weight training, on top of, everything, right? And you're a dad and this is the Fit Dad Club podcast, right? Like it's not the, 18 to 20 year olds don't have constraints or life challenges podcast who still live at home. It's the Fit Dad Club podcast. You got a lot of shit on your shoulders. You're trying to look after your partner. You're trying to look after your kids. You're trying to look after yourself. So instead of training harder, we actually need something that is sustainable. And I think that's the biggest thing that actually holds dads back from even getting started. I have so many conversations in the DMs with guys who's like, I just don't have time. I'm like, well, do you have 30 minutes 3 times a week? They're like, of course I do. I was like, well, then you do have time. It's just you don't have time for the stuff you think you have to do. I think that's actually the disconnect, which actually holds people back, Chase.
They don't prioritize and they don't focus on the right things, right? And then they get caught up in it all. I'm trying to think of the opposite of a lighthouse, and it's one of those like moth, mosquito, bug zappers. That's what the rest of the industry is, right? It's like you think it's your guiding light, but in reality, you get close and you get buzzed, and then you die, right? So this and that's just it, right? Like the industry profits off misinformation, and it profits off you not knowing what the fuck you're doing. So you buy course after course and program after program, and you never get that education. You never get any further towards your goals because it's like, oh, you just need to work harder. But in reality, as we said, you're as a dad, you need to prioritize, and you need to have short and effective things that you can do, especially when it comes to training, where you can get in, get out. And there's even a recent study that got published that showed that supersets are equally as viable for growth as straight sets. So if you don't know what the difference between those are, supersets is when you do one exercise after the other. And in this one, they were doing like opposite muscle groups. So chest and back, or biceps and triceps, or quads and hammies. And they were going, cool, you do one exercise right after the other. And then, or you just do one exercise, rest, do it again, rest, do it again, rest, and then go on to the next one. You're increasing the amount of work you can do in the shorter amount of time, and you get the same amount of results. But, people will tell you you've got to train for at least an hour. Otherwise, what's the point? And all of that is not sustainable. All of that means you're putting your time and your energy and your effort into shit that's wrong. Same with some of the recipes that are out there. I try to do these like fake sausage rolls, like these rice paper roll healthy sausage rolls the other day. Oh my God, it took me like 45 minutes longer than doing another dish that I could have made, and it was shit. It was terrible, and it just became this mess, and it was a waste of my fucking time. So, I think for most people, you've got to focus on the short and the easy wins that you can do, because you do have time constraints in other areas. You do have things that you need to do, and you got to stop expecting yourself not to. Stop expecting either life to be easy, or stop expecting, your kids to not get sick, right? And all of the other shit that we that we have to deal with as parents. Stop expecting the smoothness of a journey from someone who's not got kids, because you're just not going to get that.
I agree, mate. I think, you have to allow for chaos within your design. And I think, again, like, I just reflect on so many of the conversations I have with guys before they join the program, and I'll ask them how the nutrition is, and they'll say, hey, yeah, I eat great. I eat clean. So my diet's not the problem. I'm like, okay, so, what's happening with your calories at the moment? Like, how many calories? I have no idea. That's like, okay, so, what about the weekends? Oh, I only go off a couple of times on the weekends as far as like eating pizzas and burgers, so it should be okay. Now, just so we all understand out there, eating clean does not mean weight loss. I think this is the biggest misconception that is out there. You can overeat roast and vegetables. You can overeat chicken and broccoli. You can overeat your salad sandwich, or if you're having whatever you're eating, whatever your and then that's the problem as well. What's your definition of clean? So I think that varies so widely. But the biggest thing with weight loss is calories in versus calories out. Okay. And I don't care at the end of the day, when we're looking at the calorie side of things, if you're eating donuts or chicken, like the calories make weight loss, right? With the chicken, it will be more satiating and you'll build muscle mass and you'll lose fat mass. But either way, with weight loss, it's just calories. So I need you to understand that eating cleaner and eating stricter actually leads to binge eating and an overconsumption of calories. Because if you're at a kid's birthday party, are you going to eat the cake, or you're like, no, son, I eat clean? Is that a raw vegan cake? No, you're not going to say that, right? Like, you're going to enjoy the cake, and you go, okay, that's about 400 calories. That's what I got to add into my diet today. You're going to go out with your wife, and she's like, you go, okay, no, I need to make sure that I don't do this, this, and this. It's like, fuck, mate, come on, pull your head in and let's go out for a date night. And I think the idea of eating clean, all it does is when you go off the diet, you really go off the diet, which leads to higher calorie consumption. And instead of being a calorie deficit where you're eating fewer calories than you burn on a daily basis, which causes weight loss, you end up at the end of the 7 days, because calories matter over 7 days. After the birthday cakes or the weekends or the Friday night drinks, you end up at a calorie maintenance over the week, which leads you to not gaining or losing weight. And you feel like you've put in all this work for no result, or you end up in a calorie surplus. And maybe you did a deficit for so strict, for so hard for like 2 weeks, you lost like a couple of pounds or kilos. And you're like, yeah, I'm moving in the right direction. You're like, you get to a point where you're like, fuck this, all or nothing mentality sort of kicks in, and you go from all to nothing. And then at the end of the month, you're back to where you started again, which is more frustrating. We don't want the frustrating cycle. All we want is a sustainable cycle. And I think that's the biggest thing. So, we don't want to binge. We don't want to fear any type of food. Okay, we want to understand that all food is fine as long as it fits within my plan. I think this is probably the biggest misconception before people come on to coaching with us that they need to overcome.
Yeah, like for me, it's always about choice, right? And I want you, if you're choosing to have a big night, I want it to be because you want to have a big night, and that is your desire. It's like, all right, it's my wedding anniversary. We're going to go out for dinner and we're going to have a couple glasses of wine, right? Like I want it to be because you are choosing to do that with the full knowledge of the impact that that's going to have on your results and the acceptance of that. Too many times you've got people who come in and they're like, oh, I want to be able to eat everything that I want, but I also want to be able to lose weight. It's like, well, fuck, if it was that easy, mate, you wouldn't need us, right? Like, unfortunately, something's got to give. And then there's people who do it and they're like, oh my God, I'm so surprised I gained all this weight. It's like, well, you didn't track the whole weekend and you just ate whatever the fuck you wanted. What the hell did you expect? Like, the results are going to come in slower if you do that. What I want is for people to make an intentional choice and go, I'm choosing to do this because the priority for this meal might not be fat loss. The priority for this meal might be connection with my wife, right? And I don't want her to think that I'm thinking about and this is how they think. I don't want her to think that I'm thinking about my goals and my fitness more than I'm thinking about connecting with her, right? And it's not necessarily that it always takes that much brain power, but if you're pulling out your phone and calculating the macros of your meal while you're meant to be at, dinner with her, she's going to be like, do you even care? So there are times where you've got different priorities. And I want all of those priorities to be a choice. I'm choosing to eat this because I know what the impact is going to be. I'm choosing to eat to my plan and within my calories because I want the end goal. It's not, I have to eat this, because then at the end of the program, you're just going to go back to eating the way that you were before. You need to want to eat those things because it's a choice, because it leads you to a bigger picture, a bigger goal that you're working on. Fitting into those pants you never fat into. Fitting into the fat into, I don't know if that's a thing, but maybe it is. You over fat them and that's why they were too tight. Fitting into, taking your shirt off at the beach with your kids this summer. Those are the reasons to have a chicken salad over the fried chicken burger, right? Those are the things that will move you forward. But you don't need more strictness. You don't need eat cleaner. You need just to be aware of your calories, but to be choosing every single thing that you do, as opposed to just letting your emotions dictate everything that you do. Like, oh, I don't feel good, so therefore I'm going to eat this, this, and this. It's like, well, then you're always at the whim of external circumstances because you've not mastered your emotions. And that's what leads to binges, right? Is the emotional circumstance of, oh, I have to be so strict. I'm going to try really hard to do this. I'm not allowed this, not allowed this, not allowed this. It's like, fuck, have some flexibility. And just know that everything you choose has a consequence, right? It's just like parenting. Your kids, it's not just, you don't have that strict guidelines with your kids. It's everything that they do has a consequence. They do this, then this happens. They do this, then this happens, right? And at the same time, when you inevitably fail from these really strict, really hardcore plans, you then start to blame yourself instead of blaming the plan for its unsustainability, right? And we want to obviously take responsibility ourselves, but at the same time, trying to stick to something that is not going to work, hasn't worked the last 5 times you've done it, is not going to work again this time. At some point, you've got to realize, cool, maybe there's something wrong here. Maybe there's something wrong with attacking this from the exact same direction. And maybe I do need to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, mate, because I think the same level of thinking that got you into the situation won't get you out. I think that's the biggest thing. When I have calls with guys, right? Like fundamentally, you've made a set of decisions over the last 5 or 10 years and they've led you to this point. So do you believe that having that same level of thinking will get you out of this position? Or do you need to fundamentally change the way you look at things and how you're making these decisions? Because at the end of the day, that's it. It's changing your decision matrix or decision-making matrix at a fundamental level. Now, if you always tried quick fixes, well, maybe you got to stop trying quick fixes. If you're always trying to diet, something you start and you have to get off of, maybe it's trying to find a sustainable solution. If you're always trying to Google and YouTube shit without proper guidance, then maybe stop Googling stuff and get support. If you're following someone and they tell you everyone has the same 24 hours in a day, it's like, yeah, we all have 24 hours, but all of us fit a lot of different shit into it. So I think you need to understand the difference between 24 hours versus someone else's 24 hours. Like some of you guys out there, that you work 12-hour shifts, 13-hour shifts. Can you then be a dad that's there and train and sleep and eat and be there for your partner within the rest of the sort of 13 hours? Probably not. Can you do it 3 times a week for 30 minutes? Yes, you can. So instead of following some bro split and some guy telling you just need to be more disciplined, no, it's not. But you do need to be more disciplined in something that's sustainable, right? It's a very different thing. I do preach discipline. We do preach that it's discipline over feelings. But what we also do preach is not doing dumb shit, right? Like, there's no point being disciplined over a plan that just doesn't fit into your life and your constraints. So I think the biggest thing is having a plan that doesn't make you feel like a failure. I think that is the biggest thing first. Something you can actually execute and you go, you know what? This is something I can fit into my life. Yes, I can. And then once you agree to that, then you do what you said you're going to do. You don't follow some plan that's unrealistic and then all of a sudden you realize it's unrealistic and then no, you can't change and you can't fit it in. And then you don't do what you said you're going to do. And then it destroys your belief even further. And at the end of the day, like, storms are guaranteed in life, guys. Like, the storms are going to be guaranteed. Like, as Jace will say, there's one thing for certain, it's randomness. Like, chaos will occur. And there's work, there's stress, there's kids' sicknesses, there's after school sports, there's weekends, there's doubt. Like, without a lighthouse, every wave knocks you back to square one. I think that's the big thing. Like, you're trying to come to shore and you're trying to do it safely and get to your goal, except all you keep doing is just getting knocked back out to sea because you don't have a sustainable plan. You go all or nothing mentality. You go too hard too soon. You have some form of self-doubt spiral. You have, everything and anything throwing at you. Jace is about to be bombed by planes at the moment. Like, I have no idea what's going on here.
Right. This is what happens when you live within radius of the most busy airport in Australia, and it's a tiny airport that is all prop planes and it's fun and games. So hopefully no one's getting any World War II flashbacks.
Yeah, exactly. It might trigger a bit of PTSD on some people, but I think I was like, what's going on in Perth at the moment, mate? I feel like you could be someone out on getting arrested with the choppers coming around. Yeah, they go over top.
Nah, it's more boring than that. Just people getting their licenses and shit.
Okay, this is boring. All right, so they're the lies of the fitness industry, and I guess the biggest thing is why we need a lighthouse is, as we said, right? You can't stop the waves, but you can. You can't stop the storm even, right? Like, that's your life. Like, the waves will crash, the storm will happen, but the lighthouse gives you a fixed point. And no matter how rough it gets, like, you know where to steer. And I think that's what coaching does for you, right? It allows you to steer towards what happened last week, what's on the plan for next week, and what do we need to do to overcome the obstacles that we're facing. And it just keeps moving you forward in the right direction. And like, without a lighthouse, like, you drift, you quit, you lose hope, and with it, you keep moving forward despite of the chaos. And that is literally what coaching does. Like, so many of my guys, they say they don't have time for X, Y, and Z, and then it'll be on Tuesday knowing they've got a call with me on Friday, and they're like, I just get my shit done because I don't want to rock up to a call with you and not do it. So, like, just the idea of me having a call with you every single week, knowing that I need to be the type of guy who says that, what we said last week, I'm going to do this week, it gets me moving in the right direction until you be the type of guy who doesn't need a lighthouse anymore. But at the start, you do need a guiding light to bring you back to shore, because if not, your ego's involved. You're trying to do it by yourself. And if you haven't got there by yourself sustainably, like if you have, maybe aren't even on this podcast because, you've got your goal and maybe you're doing something else. But even if you are at your goal and you listen to this podcast, kudos to you. Like, we can help keep pushing you in the right direction to your next goal. But most of the time, if you're not there, you need direction, you need guidance, because your circumstances are still what they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 3 years ago. And we do need to make sure that we are the lighthouse in your lives. And we have this sort of Fit Dad lighthouse sort of method, which is the Fit Dad method. And it is the lighthouse for our guys. And Jace, I'll let you go through that.
Yeah, 100%. I think, having anything like a guiding light that lets you know, number one, where the rocks are and where the cliffs are, so that you don't, fall from that. And, it's like that protective mechanism. It's just that thing you can always go back to, right? And so, like, without having a lighthouse, you're drifting or getting smashed by the waves, you're going back and forth, you're hitting the rocks. But with it, you've got an idea of not only what to do to progress, but also how to stay away from the rocks, right? So it lets you know where the danger is. And you need, like most guys that we speak to, they need that, because there's a lot of misinformation in the fitness industry, right? So there's three key things that we focus on at the Fit Dads Club. Number one is meals. This is part of our Lighthouse Method, right? we have structured meals, but they've got to be flexible. We've talked about flexibility a hell of a lot. The reason why we talk about flexibility is because you're a dad. You have no idea what the fuck is going to happen. So you need flexibility. You need to plan this shit out, and you need to have backup plans. So we have as much structure as we can, because also you don't need to be thinking about meals every single day. We want not restriction, not perfection, but just enough fuel and enough freedom, right? So we've got to ride that line, that balance. And the challenge with a lighthouse is it's got to keep you close enough to the shore that you don't drift away, but it's also got to keep you far enough away that you don't hit the rocks. Unfortunately, that's not sexy. That's not, oh, just ride the fucking rocks like that. I don't know if you've seen that NASCAR driver who figured out that he could just slam his foot down and ride the outside wall and just use that to just never have to brake and just ride the outside wall around the NASCAR track. I'm pretty sure they put rules against it after that. But he did that and he like smashed the lap time records. Unfortunately, you can't do that in a ship. You fucking break to bits. But also, if you drift too out to sea, you end up, all right, I've got no guiding light now. It's nighttime in the middle of the ocean. I can't fucking circumnavigate the stars. I'm not Moana, right? Like, I don't know how to do that shit. Put my hands up and measure with my fingers. Like, unfortunately, we can't do that. So the unsexy truth is you've got to find a middle ground. You've got to find just far enough away that you're not smashing against the rocks, but not so far away that you end up lost out at sea. So you've got to have structure with flexibility, enough fuel, enough freedom. Then from a movement perspective, you need at least 28 minutes, right? 1 to 2% of your day. It's not about punishing yourself. It's not about killing yourself and ending in a, puddle on the floor. It's just about progressing, right? Continuing to move forward. If you could add, 2-5 kilos to a lift you do every week or every month, by the end of the year, if you could just keep up that progress, you would be the fucking strongest person in the world, right? Unfortunately, you hit a point where you can't progress quite that fast, but by continuing to do that for the period of time that you can do it for, that's progress. Whether it's ending the workout a little bit less puffed, or extending the workout a little bit longer, or doing 1 or 2 more reps, or doing a couple more kilos, like, all it takes is consistent progress that you can continue to do in the long term that isn't overdoing it for you. Like my training program leading up to the 12K, probably a little bit more than my body could handle given the way that my knee has responded. So I know I've got to taper it off. I can't come smashing back in and try too hard, because that's going to fuck me up. All right, I need to taper that thing up. I can't just go balls to the wall, and then expect that I can maintain that. Even going every single day, I was going for like 5 days a week. I was training. I was doing 2 weight sessions and 3 runs. Some of the runs I had to cut short. Some of the training sessions I had to cut short because I had responsibilities. I had things I had to do at home. So it's not about I have to do this perfectly in order for me to get the result. It is I've just got to get something done, and I've got to be looking at progressing. And then finally, it's looking at, the mindset side of things. We're not trying to be the fat dad anymore. We want to be the fit dad. Goals don't change you. Your identity does, right? Who you are changes you. So as Trav was saying, it's like you've got to be that new man. You've got to be the guy who can do these things, because that is the ultimate goal. It's not about what you do. It's about who you become in pursuit of that goal. It's about the shift in identity that you then have.
I agree, mate. I think, again, when we're looking back to when I'm talking to the guys on these sort of game plan calls that we do create, and I'm like, okay, well, the version of you who is already there 6 months from now, who is 10, 20, 30 kilos lighter, 40 pounds lighter, when I look at him, what decision did he make in this moment? Did he make a decision like you have in the past, which is I'm going to procrastinate, I'm going to think about it, I'm going to put things off, I'm going to put everyone else first, I'm going to look for a quick fix? Or did he say, hey, we need something sustainable, we need to fundamentally change the way we're living our life and the way we make decisions? Did he have that shift in, no, you know what, I need something that I can do every other day for 30 minutes rather than having an all or nothing mentality? I'm asking you right now, you need to go, the identity the person I'm going to become, how does he make decisions and how does he live his life? And he's out there, right? And what would he tell you to do? He would say, start small, build momentum, build more belief, and then act as if you are him now. It's like there is, a line in the sand that all of us must step over to become that man, that 2.0, 3.0 version of ourselves. And, you understand, like, your kids are watching you. You could have been the fat dad. You maybe are the fat dad, but it's now a line in the sand. Step over and you just act as if you are the fit dad right now. It's hard at the start, but it gets easier every single day. And there will be a storm, but you keep moving with the Lighthouse Method, just to the Fit Dad method to keep you pushing you forward. And you got a system, right? We just never miss 2 days in a row. We win the day. If you miss a day, we never miss 2 days in a row, because that's the start of a habit of failing. And we don't want to have that habit at all. Your kids don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be present. Consistency beats intensity every single day of the week. Every choice that you make at the moment shows them it's either I'm going to settle and this is who I am, or I'm going to lead and I'm going to push forward. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to continue my comeback story. I'm going to start the next chapter of my life. And I think, for yourself, if you're still being stuck on the same chapter, the chapter that is the unfit person, the person with excuses, the person who blames everyone else for where they are at in life, it's time to shift the chapter and take some ownership and look for that sustainable solution. And, it's not be far less concerned with your current results than your current trajectory. Like, set the trajectory over the next 10 years to be that best version of yourself. And that's all that we need you to understand today, guys, is you have a lighthouse, whether that be us being a lighthouse or a method being a lighthouse. And that is the guiding light that is showing you how to get to shore, how to get you to that fittest version of you, that best version of you, the version of you that walks past the mirror and is like, yeah, I'm really happy with what I see now. I'm proud of the man that I've built. I'm proud of the man who I've become. I'm proud of the man to say, yeah, I am the dad to these kids. I'm not the guy who sits on the couch and says, I'll play next week. I am the role model of health and fitness to my family, because it is one of the biggest things you can teach them through respecting yourself with integrity, with staying true to your word, with being energetic to play with them. I think it's like up until kids are 12 years old, anything from 12 years old and younger, that's the 75% of the time you'll ever spend with your kids. After 12 years old, you only have 25% of time left. That's quite alarming. So anyone out there says like, it's too busy at the moment, I'm going to put it off. Man, you're putting off your family. And it's like 12 years old is very young, right? Like I'm scared about that. And, because it's quite a confronting stat. And if you're like, oh, when the kids get to high school, it's like, no, it's done, man. That is done. It's too done. You haven't built the relationships with them. I was talking to a guy this week, and his kid was one was 12 and one was 13. And I was like, don't you want to be able to go for runs with them and do stuff with them? And he's like, oh, no, man, my kids are 13. They don't want to hang out with me anymore. I was like, because you haven't built the relationship for them to hang out with you anymore. Because you weren't the guy that you could have been when they were 8, 9, 10, 11, that created fundamental relationships with them, that built time, like whether it be fitness, whether it be you jumping on a motorbike and doing motocross with them, whether it be some form of sporting activity. And I say sport because at the end of the day, these are boys, and we can relate with sport with boys. I don't have girls, I have boys. And my kids will run with me. I'm telling you right now, I'm faster, and I'm getting faster, and I'm 41. They'll continue to run with me until they feel like it's not fun with me to run anymore. And boys, it's a hierarchy thing, right? They want to be the head of the pack. So as long as I'm beating them, they'll find it fun to try and beat their dad. And they respect me because I can do the things that I want to do. And they'll be like, I want to be like my dad. And if their kids are 14 and you're busting out like 20-minute 5Ks and they're still trying to chase you, and you can lead them from the front, because that's all it is. The reason why they're hanging out with their friends is because you're not leading them from the front anymore, right? That's the thing. If you continue to lead them from the front, it's like, yeah, Dad, let's go do a 5K. Let's go do a 10K. Let's go run a half marathon, because you can do it, and you're going to continue to push them to keep going forward. If you can't do it, like, what are they going to say? Hey, Dad, let's go sit on the couch and have a beer. Like, they're 13. Like, if that's what your idea of, like, one, you shouldn't do that with your kids when they're 13. And two, like, that's not fun at all. Right? Like, it's not fun for them. So of course they're going to go hang out with their mates. Like, so you have to understand it's not the kids that are growing away from you. It's that you didn't do anything to grow with them. Like, you always need to be a season in front of your boys, especially in front of boys. Right? If they're into motorbikes, you fucking ride a motorbike, right? And you get fit enough to be able to do it, because that's going to create longer relationships and longevity in your relationship with your child. If they want to get fit and they're liking sport, then you get your ass together and you get fit, because that means you can have that bond and that relationship with him outside of just wiping their ass and cooking them food, right? Like, you're doing more things outside that's going to keep that relationship fresh and, again, long term. And it's creating these movements, like whether it be fucking surfing even, right? Like, you're doing trips to Indonesia, and like, there's shit you can do with your kids when you're fit that you cannot do when you're fat. Like it's just and that's the reality, guys. Well, Dad, let's go on a holiday and sit in the like Kuta Club, beach club in Bali for 4 days or 5 days while you get pissed sitting in the pool with the swim up bar. Or if it's like, man, let's go to Bali and let's go find some surf breaks and, surf some killer waves. Like they'll be like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Like, I think it's like being the season in front of your kids and doing stuff that excites them is what keeps the relationship long term. Are you doing that? And do you have the capacity to do that? And if your capacity to do that is not there right now, that is your why. Your why is literally to build the capacity to continue the relationships. So after 12 years old, that you do not lose the relationship to their friends and then to their partner and to their everything else. Because, man, I hope you like your kids. Like, I love mine. And I'd like to spend as much time around mine as long as I can for as old as they are. And it's finding the things that I can do with them to keep building the positive relationships that they'll continue to want to keep coming back and do things with me long after they have to, but because they want to.
Like when I ran that 12K, when I had to leave in the morning, Imi was naturally pretty upset. She's almost 3. But then afterwards, she was at the door because after Mum told her about it, she was like, go daddy, and she was like, she had to see the road because Mum said I was going for a run on the road, but the police made sure that the cars weren't gonna get me, but she had to see it. And then she's like, next time I want to run with daddy. So it's like it's also like what you do, especially as they're younger, what you do will shape them. So not only is like as they get interest, but they will find interests based on the things that you're doing. You can expose them to more of this sort of stuff. But she's like starting to get interested in that kind of stuff now with following me around. Like I don't know how far or how long she'll be able to run, but she loves to run. She's very fast for, she's a sprinter so far. We'll see if we can get her on the more endurance side of things. But yeah, like what you do sets that example, and what you do shows them what is possible. Right? Like if you don't have that capacity, as Trav's saying, in you, then they're only going to have that limited view of the world. We want to help and try and expand our kids' beliefs and their minds as to what's possible and what they can do, not contract it.
I think so. I think like in that, and moving into like, I guess the conversations you have with your kids as well. And like we drive an hour to soccer training, we drive an hour back, and we do that multiple times a week. It's just where we are. So I spend a lot of time in the car also with the kids listening to podcasts and also having like D&Ms, right? And Jackson was telling me at school the other day, one of the questions they asked, was like, it was something along the lines of like, do you want a life where you get everything you want? And he was the only kid in the class that said no. And the teacher said, why? And he's like, well, I need hard days so I appreciate the good days. And if I got everything I wanted in life, I wouldn't appreciate it. And he said to me, he's like, Dad, because like, you've had stuff, you've lost it. And then when you've got it back, you appreciate it. Like you put in the training sessions to appreciate the fun runs that we do together. I don't enjoy training all the time, but I appreciate the wins that I have on the soccer field. Like he's like fucking Aristotle over here. Like I was like, he's busting out this stuff. I was like, honestly, I think it's having conversations with your kids and not treating them like adults. They're kids, but it's having conversations with your kids and not explaining the world to them. I know this is the Fit Dads Club, but let's just call it like mindset for kids. That's part of fitness as well. And if you can teach yourself that not every training session is going to be great, but because you have like hard training sessions, it helps you appreciate the good training sessions and appreciate the body that you're creating. I think that's a big thing. And I think if my son who is 10 can understand this, then I'm sure you as a 40 or 50-year-old man, you can also understand this, that life is what it's supposed to be. And we have to have the hard to then get the good. And sometimes, maybe you put on the 20 kilos. Yeah, you did it by choice, by putting your hand to your mouth too many times and not moving. And you focus on your family more and your work and your career. And that's completely fine. That was the season of your life. But it pushed you in that direction to then create a really good comeback story. Right? Whatever happened, maybe you got fired from a job, maybe you lost a business. Like your life is always going to push you in the direction. I truly believe that you're supposed to be. And if I didn't believe that, I wouldn't be here today. So I think you have to appreciate the hard and the good to really enjoy and embrace and have grace in your life to have those good days really last. And I'll tell you, I was driving Finn the other day. This last sort of rant. I felt like Finn was doing like a TED talk, and I wish I filmed this. He was like going on and he was like, Dad, I think I think just people need a bit more discipline in their life, and I think they'll get other success because, you know what, I feel like when I'm fit and because I put my fitness first, that I'm smarter at school because it allows me to focus for longer and allows me to feel better about myself. And like Finn does not have he has a bit of an ego, I would say. He's 8. And he's like, you know, like some kids, like, you know, they're not, you know, can't run for the full match of soccer because they don't do the stuff outside of soccer, or you know, they can't, you know, have the discipline in other aspects of their life to do their reading. And I think fitness does that. I was like, oh, all right, so how do you say that? It's like, well, look at me, right? I wake up at 6:30. I do 100 push-ups. I then have a shake. He has like a mini protein shake with some berries and some almond milk, and he has a Kids Active protein powder in it. And we put a bit of cocoa in it as well. He loves it, right? And some frozen berries and a banana. He loves his shake in the morning. And he's like, I do that, and I enjoy doing the runs when it's not soccer season. We do park run together. And he's like, you know what? I think it sets me up because I do these things and it's part of my life and I feel disciplined. And I think that will give me other aspects, give me like confidence in other aspects of my life. I was like, man, are you 8? Like, I feel, honestly, I was like, he was like going on about this. I felt like he was doing a TED talk towards me on discipline and self-motivation. But I think like we talk to our kids in a way, again, I'm sure that we do things to stuff up our kids, right? Like, I'm not standing on a soapbox trying to preach the way to teach your kids, but I feel like we talk to our kids in a way where we want to empower them to make decisions. And we want to be the lighthouse as well for our children to guide them towards the best version of them, the shore. And we help them understand that, you know, every day shouldn't be easy. We want to help them understand that discipline equals freedom in life and equals confidence in life. And we want to help them understand that self-respect starts with, you know, looking after yourself. And if you have self-respect, then you don't worry about what other people say about you, especially for kids and who are teenagers, because we give them a level of confidence where it's like, I am me and I'm proud of me. And I think if I think about this, and then I think about all the dads out there, I think maybe you could take a leaf out of that. And it's like, self-respect does start from respecting yourself with food, training, and alcohol. You know, being disciplined does equal more confidence. There's so many studies out there. People who are healthier, who are fitter, make more money. You want to make more money? Lose 20 kilos. You'll start making more money. The stats are there. They don't lie. People automatically see you differently. You get promoted more inside the workplace. You just do. The stats are there for it. So maybe if you're not making the money you want to make, there's a skill set issue, right? Maybe if you have the skills, fantastic. That's important. But people look at you differently when you control your health. It is a fact, and you cannot, you know, say it's not the fact, because the facts don't lie, right? The data doesn't lie. So focus on yourself, have respect, have self-respect, have discipline, you know, carve the days out of the hours out of your week to get the nutrition and the training done. Start being, you know, doing what you said you're going to do. And if you can do that, just like my 2 boys told me this week with their stories, right? Then you'll also get what you want in life. So, you know, at the end of the day, guys, the storm doesn't stop. You know, there's always going to be setbacks. And if you don't want to get lost again, then just go to fit-dad.club, book in a call. We'll look at where you are and where you want to be, and we'll create that sort of guiding light to get you there. And we just do this on a game plan call. We'll sort of map it out for you, show you a system. And in that system, if you want to do something with us, you do. If you don't, you can take the system and try and execute yourself. But that's on fit-dad.club. Book in a call, and we'll have a chat, man. And we'll see exactly where you are, and we'll tell you how we can help you.
100%. Looking forward to speaking to you guys then. And then until then, let this podcast, let our Instagram and everything we put out be your lighthouse. And if you have anything you want to ask us, send us a DM. If you have anything that you want us to cover on the podcast, shoot it through. Let us know. We'll cover it for you. Till then, peace out.
All right. See you guys. Touch you next week.